Have you ever longed to be the kind of person who doesn't flinch when life turns cold? Someone who can face heartbreak, betrayal, abandonment, or rejection and still remain centered? Someone who doesn't crumble when they're misunderstood or left behind? Have you ever silently wished for the day you stop pretending? Stop smiling while hurting. Stop showing up strong when all you really want is to fall apart without fear of losing everything? Maybe you're exhausted, not from doing too much, but from feeling too much, from carrying the pressure of being the one who holds it all together, from always being fine, even when everything in you screams otherwise. Let me offer you a truth most people avoid saying out loud. You don't need to become invulnerable. You need to become integrated. Because the more you try to avoid pain, the more it runs your life. We live in a culture obsessed with appearances, with looking unbothered, successful, always in control. But beneath the surface, so many of us are quietly breaking. We fear being seen in our rawness. We mask our wounds with smiles, with sarcasm, with "I'm good." But deep down, we're begging for permission to just be. And here's the paradox. What you run from the most, your grief, your shame, your fear, is exactly what holds the key to your liberation. Carl Jung, one of the greatest minds in psychology, once said, "I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become." That quote is not about denial. It's about reclamation. It's about stepping out of the victim's story and into the truth that your pain does not define you unless you let it. But to move forward, you must first turn inward, and that's the part most people skip. They search for motivation, quick fixes, affirmation. They keep themselves busy, distracted, numb. But until you sit with what hurts, until you stop fighting your feelings, you will continue to be held hostage by the things you don't even realize control you. This is not weakness. This is reality. Everyone feels lost. Everyone hurts. Some of us just learn how to hide better than others. If you've made it this far, I believe it's for a reason. This isn't just another video. This is a mirror, a moment to pause and ask yourself, why do I keep repeating the same emotional patterns? Why do other people's words have so much power over me? Why do I shrink, sabotage, or shut down the moment something touches a nerve? The answer is not out there. The answer is already inside of you. The wounds you avoid become the strings others unknowingly pull. You get hurt, not because people are cruel, but because something in their actions triggers something unresolved within you. This is why small things feel like big explosions. This is why a single comment can ruin your day. This is why silence from someone you love feels like abandonment. It's not the surface event that's hurting you, it's the story beneath it. And that's where the work begins. You see, real freedom isn't about making the world safer. It's about making yourself whole. Jung taught that the external world is merely a projection of the internal one, that until you integrate the unconscious, the parts of you that are hidden, disowned, or wounded, you will keep encountering them outside, over and over again, disguised as fate. So, let me ask you, what are you still waiting for the world to give you that you haven't yet given yourself? Is it validation? Love? Understanding? Respect? Because the truth is, you will never feel complete out there until you heal what's fractured in here. Here's what no one tells you. Most of the suffering in your life does not come from what is, but from your resistance to it. You resist sadness, so it becomes depression. You resist anger, so it becomes resentment. You resist fear, so it becomes paralysis. But what you resist persists, and what you accept transforms. When you finally stop running and turn toward the thing you fear the most, something unexpected happens. It loses its grip. Because what your pain really wants is not to destroy you, but to be acknowledged. This is where emotional mastery begins, not in toughness, but in tenderness, not in suppression, but in awareness. You do not become stronger by pretending nothing affects you. You become stronger by knowing exactly what affects you and why. That's the foundation of self-awareness. You stop being reactive. You start being conscious. You stop living on autopilot. You start living by intention. This is not about fixing yourself. You are not broken, but you may be fragmented, split between who you truly are and who you've been pretending to be. Carl Jung called the journey back to self individuation. It's not about becoming better, it's about becoming real. It's the sacred process of meeting your shadow, the parts of you you've tried to bury, the insecurities, the jealousy, the rage, the neediness, the shame. And instead of exiling those parts, you bring them home, not to justify them, but to understand them. Because what you understand you can transform. You can't heal a wound you won't look at. You can't reclaim a life you won't fully feel. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is your invitation. It's the language your soul uses when you've drifted too far from your truth. And yet, from the time we're children, we're taught to avoid it. We're told not to cry, not to be too sensitive, not to feel too much. So we grow up confused, feeling ashamed of our natural emotions. We suppress, we perform, we distract. But suppressed pain doesn't vanish. It hides in your relationships, in your habits, in your anxiety, in your compulsions. Ignored, it becomes a quiet fire, burning through the inside of your life while you smile through the smoke. But there's another way. It's not easier, but it's real. It's called feeling. And yes, it hurts, but it also heals. When you finally allow yourself to feel the grief you buried, the anger you suppressed, the longing you denied, that's when you begin to remember who you really are beneath all the masks. Your pain becomes sacred. Your suffering becomes a doorway, not to misery, but to meaning. Because when the armor falls and you meet yourself, really meet yourself, what you find isn't weakness. What you find is your wholeness. And here's something else. This journey will cost you. It will cost you your illusions, your attachments, your fantasies of who you should be. It will cost you comfort. It may even cost you some relationships, because as you rise, not everyone will rise with you. Some will resist your growth, not because you're wrong, but because your truth challenges their denial. But this isn't rejection, it's alignment. You're not losing people, you're finding yourself. And when you find yourself, you stop settling for crumbs. You stop apologizing for taking up space. You stop chasing love that feels like abandonment. You start belonging to yourself. And from that place, you become untouchable. Not because you're numb, but because you are aware. You no longer fear your triggers because you've traced them back to their roots. You no longer fear criticism because your worth no longer hinges on approval. You no longer fear rejection because you've stopped rejecting yourself. That is the deepest kind of power. Inner clarity, emotional responsibility, self-possession. It's not the kind of strength that resists life. It's the kind that absorbs it, learns from it, transcends it. You still feel, but you don't drown. You still hurt, but you don't collapse. You still love, but not at the expense of yourself. So what now? Now, you choose. You choose awareness over avoidance. You choose presence over performance. You choose depth over distraction. You choose to stop blaming, stop hiding, stop waiting for someone to come and save you. You choose to meet yourself, raw, real, tender, and true. Because nothing outside can break you, unless you've already broken from within. And when you finally become whole, no loss, no silence, no insult, no betrayal can ever dismantle you again. If something inside you has stirred, hold on to it. This is your turning point. This is your reminder that healing is not a destination, it's a daily practice. And the path forward doesn't start with the world changing. It starts with you waking up. Let the surface world spin. You've got depth now. Say it with me in the comments. I choose awareness. Let's start a new movement, not one of emotional perfection, but one of emotional truth. A community of people brave enough to feel, honest enough to heal, and strong enough to live from the inside out. This is your time. Let's keep going. Your next breakthrough is waiting.